from the crypt.
You will beware. You're in for a scare.
Going. Hello again, YouTube, and everybody on stream. We are hopping into some more nostalgic deep dives. This time we're going to be going into a little more horror aspect this time. One of my childhood favorites. And then just in general, I'm a lover of horror, and these are some of the shows that really, I would say, piqued my interest in the genre to begin with. Some of the earliest shows, I'd say. So this one is a tried and true that I'm sure everybody can recognize.
Anyway, since it's...
So we're going to be checking out Goosebumps Was the Weirdest Kids Show by Alex Myers.
You know, if you think about it, kids' entertainment has always kind of just been weird. Like, I mean, there's just something off about a lot of TV shows and movies that are, like, meant for kids. But the 90s in particular was just the Wild West of just, like, putting the weirdest things on TV. And one of the weirdest kids shows I remember watching was Goosebumps. Now, based on the R.L. Stine books of the same name that every kid bought at those scholastic book fairs at...
In the 90s, the Goosebumps was the wildest thing you were watching? You were tame, I think. That's, like, base.
School, you know? You remember those? That was a magical time.
I think, like, what, Scary Stories Told in the Dark, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? I think it is. Were, like, more, maybe less niche, I don't know.
Anyway, since it's October, I figured it would be a good chance to take a look back at the weirdest kids show maybe ever. So this episode of Goosebumps is called...
Goosebumps is the weirdest kids show maybe ever? Sir, we've got a list of videos that we can show this show that is definitely not true, especially not in the 90s. Come on. In a world where Invader Zim exists in the slightest, we're talking kids show 100%, like, come on. Mr. Meaty, I mean, most of Nick's, are we talking live action? Because maybe live action, trying to think, what's the wildest kids oriented live action show?
Piano Lessons Can Be Murder, and stars Jerry, who just moved into a new old house.
Jerry, who you talking to?
No, Mom.
Honey, will you stop fantasizing and try to concentrate on what I asked you to do? Thank you.
You know, I kind of thought about doing this for when we do on the string, when we watch a show or something. Setting it up like a theater, but like you can see like the top of the heads from the back, like the chairs.
Yeah, no fun allowed, Jerry. But what, you think that's just gonna stop old Jerry over here?
You're gonna love it here. Nice hat.
The brilliant scientist was abducted by aliens. Why had his colleagues on Earth stopped all communications?
Oh, okay. He's one of these kids. And I know these types of kids when I see them, okay? Because you know what? I was one of these kids. So, yeah, it was a dark time.
Okay.
Now, while Jerry is just over
Being
here
a kid
doing
was
whatever it is he's doing,
sorry.
he suddenly starts to hear the piano
That's when you're supposed to be that weird.
playing itself.
Oh yeah, time to get out of that basement. Oh no, you're investigating? Oh yeah, no. I mean, this is their own fault at this point. Wait, is he playing the song himself now?
You know, I get that this is supposed to be like a scary ghost or whatever, but I feel like every piano teacher just looks like this, you know? And they all just smell like Pepto-Bismol for some reason. So Jerry's dad shows up.
Dredging up some of your own childhood memories? What? Pepto-Bismol is so specific.
And wait a second. Is that Clifford Blossom from Riverdale? What? Anyway, so Jerry's dad is apparently really into pianos.
Look at this. Where'd this come from? Wow.
It was playing by itself.
Hello? Anybody home?
Put it out, Dad.
Yeah, shut up, Dad.
You know, a little wax, a little polish, this would be a beaut. Hey, you want to make this our little project?
No, thanks. I've got a life, you know.
Okay, Mr. 8-year-old with a strainer on your head. Now, outside we meet Kim, the girl across the street who convinces Jerry to start taking piano lessons so they can jam together. So the next day, Jerry's mom takes him to the only music school in town, I guess, the Shriek School.
Shriek School?
It's more like a prison than a music school.
Who's fantasizing now, Mom?
Hey, you're lucky I'd take you anywhere, Jerry, all right? You know how tough it is for me to be seen in public with you, with that haircut? So they go inside, and would you believe
be
that
her
it
father
might
that's got
not
that
be a
haircut?
totally normal music school?
Can I help you?
Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about, okay? Every music teacher since the beginning of time dresses and acts exactly the same. Like, what is up with that?
Ah, Mr. Hawkins. I'm Dr. Shriek. I know it's a funny name. Have you ever played an instrument before, Mr. Hawkins?
I can play Stairway to Heaven on the kazoo.
The piano is considerably more demanding, but with hands like these, I'm sure you'll be a perfect student.
Well,
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then the mom just leaves after seeing all of this. Your hands are so beautiful.
Like caressing the fuck out of
clearly
your
nothing
hands.
weird going on here. All right, see you, Jerry.
All
I'm
right,
going
kid.
off to that thing
Thanks
where
for
all the
taking them
moms
off
in the
my
neighborhood
hands.
Get together and drink wine and pretend to read books. Anyway, so then Jerry starts his first piano lesson.
Today, we will learn the C major scale. Watch me.
What happened to your hands?
They just don't work like they used to.
I used to do many things with my hands. They always told me I'd go blind, but the truth was far worse, Jerry. That night, the ghost piano teacher lady comes back and gives Jerry a little warning about Dr. Shriek.
Shriek got her.
What did I do?
Stay away from the streets. It was
What? You're telling me this old guy dressing like a Renaissance fair trying to suck on my fingers or whatever? You telling me this guy? You telling me there's something off about this guy? What are we talking about? Now, Jerry tries to tell his parents about the whole ghost thing, but shockingly, they don't really believe him.
You think I'm crazy?
Oh, of course not.
Just because I don't want to go back to the Shriek School.
Well, it's the reason you don't want to go back.
You guys don't believe me that I saw a ghost.
Honey, we would never force you to keep taking lessons.
Okay, Goosebumps, I gotta call shenanigans here, alright? Jerry's parents aren't gonna force him to go to lessons just because he doesn't want to. Like, what kind of fantasy world is this? Come on to you, R.L. Stein. But then Jerry's dad jumps in to give his own thoughts.
You know what the best feeling in the world is, Jer?
When someone calls and cancels plans for something you never actually wanted to go to in the first place?
That's
It's
nice.
confronting the things you're most afraid of.
Okay, well, this is clearly untrue. Remember like when you were a kid, you know, when adults would always give you just like the dumbest advice? You know, son, sometimes friends aren't good friends. But you know who you can always count on to be a good friend no matter what? Jesus? No, Spider-Man. What are you, stupid? So Jerry goes back to the school to prove that that ghost lady didn't know what she was talking about. Like, what does a ghost even know anyway?
Think about these hands. They're perfect. Perfect.
Geppetto looking at it.
I must have your beautiful hands.
Well,
Why is his face so animated?
Your beautiful hands. Beautiful hands.
you know, this kind of reminds me of those people you see commenting on girls' YouTube videos and they're always like, show me your feet. I need to see your feet. I must confirm the
breed.
dimensions of your big toe. Now, finally, the janitor guy stops Dr. Shriek and we find out that he was a robot the whole time? But just when Jerry thinks he's all in the clear,
He look weirdly
Let me
artificial.
see. Your hands, Jerry. Let me see your hands.
You? It's you, not Dr. Shriek.
I need your hands, Jerry,
You're nuts. Why do you need my hands?
to make beautiful music.
the old switcheroo. Gets him every time. And then the ghost lady shows up somehow and scolds the janitor for, you know, trying to cut off a kid's hands or whatever. And his reaction is to just stop everything and cry?
I warned you. This time you've gone too far.
This time?
Andrew Tuttle.
I tried my best.
Which, to be fair, like now that I think about it, you know, if a ghost just suddenly appeared and started telling me to stop doing what I was doing, I would probably stop, you know? Anyway, so Jerry barely escapes with his life and jumps in the car at the last second.
Oh shit.
Oh man, I was not ready for that. Hey mom, you think you could look any less scared right now? Oh no.
A rightful response.
So in the
What?
end, Jerry just acts like nothing at all happened and decides playing baseball is probably a better idea.
I'm just glad our house is ghost free.
No more piano, huh?
Not in this lifetime.
Oh, I get it. Good one, Jerry. Haha. And then the janitor guy is forced to practice piano forever. So there's your lesson for the week, kids. Don't learn piano or stay away from creepy music teachers. I gotta be honest, I don't really get what the point was. You know, back when I was a kid, I remember this show being way scarier. Like watching it back now, what even was this show? Like, it's just so bizarre and like surreal. I mean, maybe that's the point. I don't know. But you know, like when you really think about it, kid stuff nowadays, like, you know, on like YouTube or whatever, like it's probably even worse. I mean, back in the 90s, you know, we had like Alex Mack, we had Pete and Pete, Goosebumps, you know, I mean, like there's a lot of weird stuff. But like, have you seen what kids are watching nowadays?
It's every day, bro!
For whatever reason, like no matter when or how or why, like stuff made for kids has always been and probably always will be just the weirdest things imaginable. Hey everybody, really quick, so we got this brand new Charlie Halloween merchandise in the store. It's only available for a limited time, so if you're interested, you want to get it, want to support the channel, whatever, the link is down in the description below. So again, don't wait too long or it's gonna be gone. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. You know, I've made a couple of videos here and there, like, you know, I did like Smallville, I did the OC, I did Santa Claus like a year ago. So I've done a couple of videos here about like things.
Okay. All right. So that was Goosebumps was the weirdest kids show, Alex Myers. Yeah, I've got to respectfully disagree. I'm sorry. What? Especially having at a time, like I said, if you're talking live action, I don't even think live action, because I'm pretty sure Are You Afraid of the Dark was in the 90s too. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that was 1990. Dinosaurs was also like puppetish, so that was like 1991, and that had a dark ass ending. Fargo was this in? I mean, but I guess at the time it's one of the only few. But if we're talking just kids shows in general, then no, come on. You got Courage the Cowardly Dog at this time. You've got Invader Zim. You've got what, Ren and Stimpy. Some of the wildest actually cartoons at the time. Cow and Chicken, like some of the, again, anytime Cow and Chicken comes up, I've got to always remiss. These things were eating ass every day. Like this was the norm on that show. So, but moving right along. This one, I believe, in the same stem of like Twilight Zone, but more directly horror. Because I feel like the Twilight Zone was always just like supposed to be like a weirdish and like sci-fi more so. While this was more just straight catered to like horror and monsters. This one's gonna be Remember Tales from the Crypt by Joe Blow Horror Originals. Let's take a look. See. Yeah, Tales from the Crypt I actually have like the first two. Yeah, I have the full first two seasons of this like on. Be straight up. Like these were my shit back in the day. So if you haven't seen Tales from the Crypt as like a horror fan, you're not like a horror fanatic. Essentially just an anthology series of just, like I said, if you've seen like Twilight Zone, it's pretty much that same cadence, just like more directly horror based. So you had your host, the Crypt Keeper, who introduced the show each episode. And I believe he was I'm pretty sure the whole time he was a puppet. It was never like animated or anything like that. And so the setting and everything of the show was always so cool to me. But we'll check out a quick little deep dive there by this Joe Blow Horror Originals. Let's take a look. Bum ba dum bum.
How sweet, fresh meat.
p.m. on a Tuesday night in the early 90s. Where are you? You were probably sitting your ass in front of the TV about to take in a terrifying viewing of a new episode of Tales from the Crypt. I know you probably aren't being some weird child crawling on all fours like some kind of animal trying to hide under the coffee table or behind the couch to watch whatever horror show your mom is watching. Or maybe you were. The series premiered on June 10th, 1989. The show is hosted by the Crypt Keeper, voiced by John Kassir. Every week, a new episode would air and tell a tale based on the show's comic origins, starting with entertaining comic series Tales from the Crypt, along with other titles The Haunt of Fear, The Vault of Horror, Crime Suspense Stories, Shock Suspense Stories, and Two-Fisted Tales. The show came about when producer Joel Silver and Walter Hill were working on Streets of Fire in 1983. They both found out that they had a common love for Creepshow and Twilight Zone, as well as the original Tales from the Crypt comic series. The two promised they would get together later to create their own horror anthology along with David Giller. A few years later, on the set of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Silver was working with Bob Zemeckis, who agreed to hop on board. Last but not least, Richard Donner joins the crew, and baby, you got a stew going. A good-ass horror stew.
Horror stew going
they asked
good.
William Gaines for the rights with the intention of creating a film, but by the late 80s abandoned that idea and decided to go for a show. Silver and Zemeckis did go to Gaines for advice on one of the episodes, and from there got what would be the template for all episodes going forward. It was also important to them to stick to the comics in regards to the script as well as the storyboard, and took a few liberties with the content. If you look at some of the episodes and at the comics, the translation was inspiring. Now just add up all them HBO dollars and capability and the sky's the limit.
HBO.
Let's do a quick exercise before we go on.
Oh, trying to
Close your
hypnotize me?
eyes.
No, thank you.
No, seriously. If you've watched this series enough times, you can play the series intro over and over in your head with the sounds and theme together perfectly. If you get nightmares from that sort of thing, maybe don't do it so much. What's wild is remembering the HBO intros. That alone will rip open a nostalgia box in the corner of your brain. I always hear the static with the logo, but there's also the one that rolls through the city, and there's the other one with the multicolor light that rolls over little balls. HBO was incredible during those times. There were so many great shows, and they were legends for housing such great series.
Maybe I have. Oh my
Tales
god.
from the Crypt
It's like
is one of the
unlocking
best
a
anthology horror shows of all time. They delivered a new tale every week and brought some of the best directors, writers, actors, and producers. The show never held back on the gore or nudity. Also, people were smoking. What a time to be alive. Seriously though, outside of fuzzy Skinamax, this might have been the first time that you saw certain uncovered body parts. And no, I do not mean the shoulders. Tales from the Crypt was badass.
I didn't realize it was that
used to mean something.
crazy. I guess for the
had
times,
so much
yeah.
going for it. A hilariously ghoulish host,
Yes.
a musical theme from
The
Danny
Crypt
Elfman,
Keeper.
and free reign to do whatever they wanted.
HBO, yeah, on HBO, yeah, you had like the green light, 'cause like I said, you had like that's where what the Skinamax shows, like the light core stuff, crazy stuff. Oh my god! So yeah, I remember all the shows that were showed on HBO being like super like vulgar and like sexual.
All great horror anthologies, but this one is kind of hard to top. I will say before we begin this section of our journey that many of the episodes are still legitimately terrifying. The kind of terrifying where you want to hold your pee in because you're scared to go to the bathroom and be next to the shower curtain, or you start hearing noises that are perfectly normal but for some reason sound ominous. As I've said before, some spoilers will arise, so proceed with caution if you want to go in fresh 30-something years later. The Man Who Is Death. The first episode is certainly noteworthy and sets the tone for what is expected of the series.
I guess right about now, Charlie Ledbetter's starting to think pretty serious about that Valley of Death.
William Sadler is an executioner who winds up losing his job when the state decides the death penalty is cruel and unusual punishment. This sends our main character down a spiral of what happens when our main purpose in life is brought into question. It's excellent because Sadler's character ultimately becomes judge, jury, and executioner.
What becomes the Punisher? No, hold on. I'm just now looking at this. Well, not just now, but I'm looking at the box set that I have for the season and just like look at this stuff. Like, hold on. Like this is. The cover, there it is. There it is. Wait. First season collection. May all your screams come true. Like, and then like it's got a depiction and photos for each episode. Like, this shit's fire. I love this so much. Oh my god. Alright, back to the show.
However, most of us know that in the end, none of these things are up to us. The character learns this lesson the hard way, as many of the characters in episodes do. Sadler, as always, gives a great performance as he holds up most of the episode as the spotlight character. You ultimately empathize with the guy, but as I said at the end of the episode, you snap back out of it. Carry On Death. This episode has always stuck with me. It stars Kyle MacLachlan as a career criminal who's on the run after a robbery. One of the first things you notice is when he's driving out of this small town, there's a hand-painted sign warning, 70-mile desert, stock up on gas and water. MacLachlan, high on adrenaline and cockiness, has disregarded this large sign completely. This is where you realize something very terrible is about to unfold. The battle with the cop and the journey afterward is just unbelievably stressful. Walking through a desert with nothing
Like,
around, and
gory,
you've got
crazy.
a dead cop handcuffed to you is beyond the average nightmare scenario. MacLachlan plays it all the way through to the end, and it just leaves you with the fear of being lost and
Broke his
stranded
neck.
in whatever the worst scenario is
yeah.
that might be. Death of Some Salesman. Tim Curry can do no wrong. He plays not one but three characters in this episode. Learned anything in our cinematic lives is that Tim Curry can bring terror in many forms. and this episode is
Okay, I'm
his-
glad I did skip that. That was crazy, actually.
Yes. I said I loved you, and you dropped your little panties. It's called salesmanship.
Oh, damn.
The episode centers on a scam artist posing as a salesman played by Ed Begley Jr. His focus clients are the naive and old out in the rural areas. One day he stumbles upon a house thinking he's met some very stupid rednecks. However, this is where the game winds up biting him in the ass.
Damn.
I cannot
Damn.
stress how disturbing and gross and fucked up this
Oh my
whole story
God.
is from start to finish.
You really think I'm like the Mona Lisa?
What made it creepier is that my mom used to quote the line, "You do love me," all the time, which constantly gave me flashbacks.
Oh,
There's
this
a movie
is,
imitate
oh
that too
shit.
much. Bleh.
This is literally.
This is a story you cannot.
Fuck, what is that what is that movie that just came out? Was it X Penny? What was it? This is where they, oh my god. Crazy. Of course it came from one of these anthologies. Cause yeah, there was a movie that pretty much does the exact same thing with like an old couple. I'm pretty sure it's not X is there's like it's a trilogy. It's like X Penny or something like that. Wow, okay.
Not scrub out of your brain ever. Thanks to Gilbert Adler for your creation. May I one day get to bleach my brain. And all through the house. Have yourself a scary little Christmas with a killer Santa played by the always creepy Larry Drake. The episode starts off with a
This
bang
one I
as the
do
leading lady, Mary Ellen Trainor, kills her second husband while her child is in the home. As she goes to bury the body in the snow, an escaped mental patient in a Santa costume attacks her. This episode is one where you're yelling at the TV screen. Trainor holds her own all the way through until the very end.
Damn.
And that scream, that blood-curdling scream.
Oh yeah. Acting.
That bit was actually suggested by one of the creators of the original comic, William Gaines. Thing from the Grave. So this episode and another one, Till Death, both from season 2, go hand in hand for me. They both end up giving us some of the best practical effects.
Oh yeah.
Thing from the Grave edges out Till Death. for
And
me
that's another
for two
beautiful
reasons.
thing about this series, that the use of practical effects back in as well, like just with the Crypt Keeper for one, like him being like a puppet and everything. He looked like crazy, like he was well made. And then yeah, any of like the effects in the show were all practical as well. So any of the gore and everything just looked crazy. Like as you saw with the dude with like his broken neck, like you could see like the bones. Like, now that shit is insane.
Miguel Ferrer and Fred Decker. This episode gives you the story of the overly possessive boyfriend manager who snaps when his gorgeous model girlfriend falls in love with the photographer. Ferrer is a guy who always delivers, and when you pair that with writing and directing from Decker, you knew you were going to get a treat, and you did. I'd also like to point out that Terry Hatcher, who was in the role of the supermodel, was devastatingly gorgeous and pulled off the part. Abracadaver. Want to be scared to ever go under anesthesia? Watch
Oh, I
this
remember
serious
this
shit.
one.
Beau Bridges and Tony Goldwyn play brothers who are pranking one another in a morgue. Fun. Goldwyn's character winds up pushing Bridges too far, and Bridges exacts the cruelest of revenge pranks. Being trapped inside of your own body. Goldwyn plays this so damn well, and he and Bridges seem fit playing opposite each other. Goldwyn's helplessness made me squirm so hard. It also made me fear ever going under any kind of anesthesia. We're all scared that some weird fluke is going to happen and we'll be conscious inside of our own paralyzed bodies. This episode plays on that in the best way, and when you think that you're finally out of it, you get fucked again.
I guess our subject was a little hard-headed.
Wild.
Cutting cards. This is one of the more fun episodes and displays the talents of Lance Henriksen and Kevin Feige so brilliantly. The one and only Walter Hill wrote this episode, and it shows what a great character writer he is. It also helps that Henriksen and Feige have amazing chemistry. Oh, and to make it a million times better, James Horner did the music. The episode centers on two men who have a huge gambling rivalry. Both are well known among their peers and decide to go head-to-head for a final battle. Or several final battles of luck. Turns out neither one of them have any luck, and they end up battling out the loony bin or hospital together forever. Almost feels like a love story. And I have to give a shout out to a line from Judy, You're Not Yourself Today that Joe from the bar played by David Dunnard says about Carol Kane's character. She told me to go to hell like she knew the way. Dunnard's delivery at that moment is spectacular. There are so many more episodes that deserve more than just honorable mentions for me based on a million different criteria. As you can imagine, this was hard to narrow down, and if I could add more, you would hear about Dig That Cat, Sin Deep, Television Terror, Three's a Crowd, Ventriloquist Dummy, Yellow, Corman's Calamity, Top Billing, My Brother's Keeper, Forever Ambergris. Okay, I gotta stop. I'll leave it up to you to drop in the comments which episodes
So many fire episodes.
So, why did this show have to end? In 1996, the final nail in the show's coffin was brought down after a not-so-successful 7th season in England. Wait, you're telling me that Ewan McGregor and Bob Hoskins didn't save the series? Obviously it didn't, and the next breath of life given to the property was a kids' game show called Secrets of the Crypt Keeper's Haunted House. Kassir came back as the Crypt Keeper in the form of announcer for the show. It only lasted a whole year, ending in 1997. The show was basically a blend of CGI and physical challenges, with the Crypt Keeper telling little kids what losers they were in between. Remember the days of physical challenge shows? Can we bring those back, please?
Yeah.
I want to win a set of encyclopedias or some BK nights or a mountain bike. I remember at the end, you would stack up all the skulls you got on the pikes, and whoever got the most was a winner. Time to go to space camp or the Stanley Hotel or whatever the grand prize was. Hey, did you know that back in 1993, Legends of the Hidden Temple was originally set to be a haunted house show where you could go through this whole house and monsters would pop out during different times and scare you? And then if you made it all the way through, you were the winner. But yeah, that didn't happen because they were not into the monster idea, but 4 years and a more than memorable show later, seems like they were. During the show's run in 1993, an animated series was created as a spin-off called Tales from the Crypt Keeper, which most of you have probably seen. You might recall the show as it was an extremely toned-down version of the HBO series. They employed a child psychologist to help review the scripts to make sure they were tame enough for children. Everyone learns a lesson in the episodes, but they aren't as gruesome as its adult live-action counterpart.
Right.
After 2 seasons, it was shut down, but had a last gasp in 1999, then was rebranded as New Tales from the Crypt Keeper because adding new to everything makes it different.
Right.
That version was dumbed down even more due to the new FCC regulations at the time. Boo. After 13 episodes, the interest was gone and it finally died out.
Damn, 13 episodes.
Another show, Two-Fisted Tales, after the EC comic, aired a pilot episode on Fox, and the studio ultimately passed. Episodes to be aired were Yellow, King of the Road, and Showdown, which were then broadcast by HBO as Tales from the Crypt episodes. In 1997, a spin-off titled Perversions of Science got time on HBO with a super sexy robot mascot named Chrome.
Oh, I did not remember this.
One season, then poof,
what? That's
show was
crazy.
In 2000 by Seeing iRadio, an online sub of the Sci-Fi Channel, which intended to put out 13 episodes to start with, but only did 8. You could stream the episodes for free with Real Audio. Real Audio? I used to stream clips of South Park on that thing. Maybe later I'll play the Tales from the Crypt score on Winamp.
Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass.
Reruns were shown in super soft versions on Fox between 1994
There's
and
the Crypt
95
Keeper.
under the title Prime Time Tales from the Crypt, which is kind of fucking stupid. CBS played it for one whole year in 1997.
Hey, I fuck with her. It said, what?
1994-95 under the title Prime Time Tales from the Crypt, which is kind of fucking stupid. CBS played it for one whole year in 1997. It also has aired on channels like Sci-Fi, Chiller, and FearNet. Chiller was the shit. Now it's been replaced with Shudder, which is now the new shit. Wait, what about the movies? We gotta save the best for last, right? So, Demon Knight is fun. Second best film Billy Zane has ever done. First best, The Phantom. Kids, in the 90s, Billy Zane was a mood. Hell, he still is. Have you seen the guy's posts on Instagram? I mean, do yourself a favor. Okay, Demon Knight is all over the fucking place. It's like a fever dream after too much Mountain Dew and... Oh, who remembers Crotch Lightning? Everyone raise your hand. My hand is raised because that shit was wild.
Crotch Lightning.
It's to tell the truth though, it's a great ride and a great movie. Just so much fucking fun. Bordello of Blood stars Dennis Miller, Corey Feldman, Chris Sarandon, and that's all you need to know. Just kidding. Bordello of Blood is just as fun as Demon Knight, at least in my humble opinion. If you know anything about Tales from the Crypt, you know what you're getting into here. It honors the drive-in oath of blood, beasts, and breasts. So what's not to like here?
Fair.
Vampire whorehouse, Miller and Sarandon packing electric guitars and super soakers filled with holy water, more William Sadler. Sign me the fuck up. Side note, why is Chris Sarandon so goddamn devastatingly handsome? Even now. What the fuck
what?
black magic potion has he been drinking for God knows how long? Fuck.
Jesus Christ.
Also, why does Bordello feel like a spiritual sister to From Dusk Till Dawn? Because apparently From Dusk Till Dawn was originally plotted to be a sequel to Demon Knight. However, due to disagreements, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez moved on down the line. Oh, and The Frighteners from Peter Jackson and Robert Zemeckis was supposed to be the final part of the trilogy, but obviously that also fell through. One of the most promising Tales movies was Dead Easy, aka Fat Tuesday, from Richard Donner, which was a zombie flick set in New Orleans. It was slated to come out Halloween in 1996, but then it was dropped. The script
These all
apparently
came out
had
in
lost the
96,
essence
crazy.
of what Tales from the Crypt was. The scare factor was there, but it lost the element of finding its own humor. The plot centered on a man who was trying to figure out what happened in his past, and how memories of his past will bring on a malevolent entity if the memories are ever recalled. The script promised a bad guy that we've never seen before that would scare us shitless. Where the fuck is this movie? Rumor has it was shot, so whoever has that, or some kind of script, could you please help a gal out?
So it never came out.
Instead of Dead Easy, we got Ritual, the not-so-official third film of the trilogy, and everyone knows what happened with that. And if you don't, then just don't worry about it.
What?
Both movies feel like their own thing rather than something connected to the Tales from the Crypt series. This isn't a problem really, but what do you do when the series you're already making has movie-quality episodes to begin
No
with?
facts. The show is already
Flip
pretty
it,
much.
reverse it, and then add more Billy Zane because his talent is limitless. You can't see me, but I'm winking. Look, if you don't go on a 4-hour tangent about Billy Zane, then you're doing it wrong. Do you guys remember when Tales from the Crypt was supposed to be resurrected by M. Night for TNT's 2-hour horror block? Does anyone remember we were supposed to get a 2-hour horror block? Guess what? As you already knew, it seems both of these things
Never happened.
I'm not all that depressed about it. However, I do think it deserves another shot, especially with the horror talents we have now.
No facts.
Also, if it doesn't have the Crypt Keeper involved, then it's probably already a pass.
No
Right
facts.
now,
It
all
needs
just seems
the
like
Crypt
a dream
Keeper.
since it was passed on in early 2011, and then rights issues caused the hang-up in 2016.
That Cloverfield?
I was really excited about the potential of having a horror block, though, but instead I got reunited with Joe Bob Briggs, and so the world feels kind of right again. It's nearly impossible to watch Tales anywhere in its entirety due to the complicated, nightmarish rights issues I briefly mentioned, which happens to be the same reason why no one can bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing you can do at this point is watch the DVDs. There may be other
Hello.
methods, but I feel like if I mention them, the internet police will ruin everyone's lives.
True.
So where does that leave us? Dead in the water, kiddies. Bet you can't pull that rabbit out of your hat, HBO Max. I fucking love a good horror anthology series.
Yes.
And this one was basically the gateway drug for me to all the rest of them, with nods to Tales from the Dark Side and Creep Show, which we will get to. I think Tales from the Crypt elevated what the horror anthology could be, or rather it studied with the best scholars and dunked on everything else that followed. It was gross and you were laughing at that shit that would normally get you the stink eye. It had the balls to be everything you could want in an anthology horror series, especially at the time it was made. It takes us back to an era of horror that has been hard to match ever since. This is why we miss Tales from the Crypt so fucking much. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our Joe Blow Horror Videos channel. Tell your friends who dig this sort of content and turn on the bell to receive notifications for our latest videos. We're an independent company and we appreciate all of your support.
That's super fire. Joe Blow Horror Originals. Remember Tales from the Crypt. Like I said, that is amazing, because I said this is one of my favorite horror series coming up as a kid. And like, I've had these DVDs since when did it even come out, honestly? Like, we've had these since like early 2000s. And so, yeah, I've never found it anywhere like digitally or whatnot. So yeah, it's not a surprise to see that due to like licensing issues is why it's not on like any streaming services and whatnot. Because this shit right here, this show is amazing. I'm surprised like HBO can't have it or anything as well. That's so wild. But yeah, no, that was Tales from the Crypt. Like I said, the Crypt Keeper and all that. Definitely a big influence on my horror love. And like the anthology style of storytelling was definitely like one of my favorite styles. Like, you kept the host, but you know, you got a different story each episode. And they always had like some wildness happening. I didn't realize it was that like raunchy. As I said, it was known for scares, horrors, and breasts, something like that. What did she say? So that also explains why I enjoyed it so much. These box sets are so fire as well. With having like the description of each one. Like, Jesus Christ, this one has 3 discs. Like, they just don't make them like this anymore. It's unfortunate. All right, we'll pick this out and then we'll end after that. All right, so this one is again by Joe Blow Horror Originals. Why the Tales from the Crypt is stuck on DVD. So let's see why I can find one of my favorite shows.
Back in 1989, a horror anthology series hit HBO Network and took the horror world by storm. Maybe you've heard of it.
Tales from the Crypt.
Does it ring a bell? Its intro is made of nightmare fuel as the camera treks through its main gate, which ascends to a broken down, deteriorated mansion as lightning cackles through the night sky. Eerie atmosphere soaking up the screen, and we enter a false trap door. Now, when I was younger, I was close to my pants, because as we descend down these stairs into this abyss and we go through a room here and there, and then right in front of you is the Crypt Keeper popping out of that damn coffin with that devilish laugh. That cackle sent chills and shivers right down my spine.
Goosebumps.
Because of that damn Crypt Keeper, I spent many sleepless nights unwilling to shut my eyes because of that face. Which gets us to the topic of today, folks. Why the hell is there not a Blu-ray remaster of this amazing series, and when can we expect one? Well, it's not as easy as you think, and here's why. The story of the rights of Tales from the Crypt is an incredibly murky one, which dates back to the early 90s when the show reached its peak. Tales from the Crypt was originally created in the 1950s under EC Comics, or Notably Entertaining Comics. EC Comics was created and founded in 1944 by Max Gaines. EC Comics dived into multiple genres such as romance, crime, war, westerns, and its bread and butter Horror. When Max Gaines passed away during a boating accident, his son William Gaines took over and decided to expand into politics, racial equality, and other hot topics of the times that were incorporated as underlining themes within EC's stories. They eventually became ostracized from the public due to the nature aimed at its readers, particularly children. However, EC was known for their main horror IPs, Tales from the Crypt, The Vault of Horror, and Fear. Tales from the Crypt was later picked up by HBO, and since HBO Network didn't have to abide by regular cable rules, they were able to have carte blanche with how graphic they wanted their show to be. And boy, they delivered on that carnage candy. Gratuitous in its nature, Tales from the Crypt showcased many Hollywood stars from the likes of Joe Pesci, Brad Pitt, Bill Paxton, and many more.
You'll have to forgive the sergeant, my dear. He just got off a very long flight and he's not a big fan of flying.
And this is what made Tales from the Crypt so great. You always got something fresh, unique, and terrifying in every episode. I will never forget my favorite episode, which is the Christmas tale of terror that involved a murdering wife and an escaped mental patient dressed as Santa Claus, titled, "And All Through the House." Well, who could forget Billy Zane as the collector in the Tales from the Crypt film, Demon Knight? It was pure lunacy in all the best ways, and probably still to this day Billy Zane's best film. The gore was also top-notch. It was pure shenanigans and a treat for horror fans. Funny enough, HBO let multiple networks use their episodes as reruns. However, they were edited and cut down drastically to fit within the protocols of basic cable. These reruns span from network to network, Fox to CBS, then to Sci-Fi and Chiller. But considering HBO was the original show creators, they were not able to stream the uncut versions of their original episodes on their streaming platform. Tales from the Crypt was executive produced by a couple of big names back in the day: Robert Zemeckis, Joel Silver, Richard Donner, Walter Hill, David Giler, and Gilbert Adler, who all created the look of the TV series Crypt Keeper. In EC's Tales from the Crypt, their Crypt Keeper was an actual human being, a far cry from the monstrous ghoul that we're so used to seeing in our nightmares now. When William Gaines, the son of Max Gaines, passed away, the rights reverted from HBO back to the family estate, which is most likely under a lawyer's bargaining chip due to the popularity of networks trying to get it back out in the media. Again, it's a real murky situation for those networks looking to revive a once great IP to us horror hounds who want to see the Crypt Keeper's triumphant return.
Well, maybe it is for the best that they don't ruin the legacy and try to make a new series based off the show name. If you're not just releasing the old show like on streaming and whatnot, maybe it is for best that the house estate owns it. Because of what they've done with some of these other shows that used to be amazing, and just use their name to essentially make a story that they could have just made themselves in the first place. They just use the name to just try to springboard it, and then it just doesn't come off well because it doesn't match with the initial fan base of whatever medium that was initially enjoyed. So it just doesn't vibe the same with that same audience that's obviously going to be coming back, because obviously you want to try to garner a new audience. But I mean, the whole point of bringing up back any of these nostalgic names obviously is for the nostalgia and for the people who watched or knew of it beforehand as well. Otherwise, why not just make a new show that has nothing to do with something that would have that relation already?
From the crypt.
The trickiest thing, however, is the Crypt Keeper, which is voiced by John Cassier, who stated that the IP of the Crypt Keeper is under the rights of those that created the series Crypt Keeper's look, which means this conundrum just keeps getting worse and worse. This potentially solved my question at the beginning as to why we can't get that Blu-ray or 4K remaster of the anthology series. John Cassier said at a panel interview from TerrorCon, "This happens in our businesses all the time with popular franchises from the past that people want to revive. It's a hard thing to get done. It hasn't happened in many years. Some people who were involved at the top don't believe that it will ever happen, but who knows? Nobody would be happier than me." Cassier added, because I'm both a fan and an actor. Not that I ever got paid that much from Tales from the Crypt. It was an expensive show to produce. I don't even know if they could afford to make that show nowadays. It took 5 puppeteers to make the Crypt Keeper work. They always complain about what they had to pay them, and I was like, dude, it's the character. What do you want? It's a shame to know that there is a spider web of legalities involved, because as it stands, the only way to revive Tales from the Crypt in its entirety is to buy the very old, very dated DVD box set. There is no other remaster besides the DVD box set, and there are no plans to have a remaster until these legalities are solved. DVDs aren't bad, it's just, in truth, they're obsolete, and why not get more bang for your buck than have to have the Crypt Keeper's original, uncut episodes in a better quality down the road? And are there even any more DVD players you can buy at retail value? Who would even want to play a DVD these days when everyone wants to watch the best definition possible? That's like going from an 8K Sony flat screen to one of those Zenith box TVs from the early 90s.
Oh, you're talking about Blu-ray stuff. I get it. Standard definition. Wah, wah, wah.
It just makes no damn sense. We're always looking for the next big thing, so give the people what we want. If only it were that simple.
I was to say, why are you pushing Blu-ray so hard? I've never seen anybody push Blu-ray this hard. Like, I know it's like a better technology, especially when it comes to definition for video and whatnot, but like, Blu-ray never really caught on. Like, I feel like it just missed the age of where people were really cared about physical media. I still love physical media, of course, but it's just not a normal occurrence these days now. And just getting a whole Blu-ray player just for that as well.
There have been networks in recent years looking to get Tales from the Crypt back in the fold, but every time there's news that comes across as positive, an article a few weeks later tears it down saying an agreement has stalled, or that no progress has been reached. Even the Sixth Sense director, M. Night Shyamalan, has been pushing to get Tales back in the fold with TNT, creating a brand new anthology going over the old Tales EC comics run. But those talks died on the spot with the rights holders' complexities and probably their demands not being met. TNT has been looking to get this series back up for more than a year's time, if we can only hope. However, this seems to be another Friday the 13th calamity. It was way easier for the Twilight Zone revival, that's for damn sure. What remains to be seen is this: we all eventually want Crypt Keeper back, and the dead never stay dead, especially in horror. I can confidently say that we will see the Keeper back in his glory with some new, fantastic tales down the road, but also, most importantly, getting that updated Blu-ray or 4K remaster for us collectors to have and to hold forever and ever.
Safety first.
Seems like the world is moving on.
Yeah, Crypt Keeper was hilarious. Oh my god, yes, love the show. Alright, so let's see. Let's take a peek in now. That was what? That was a year ago. Okay. So let's see what we're looking at now. Almost 30 years I've been trying to get it back. Yeah, everybody was thinking it's coming last year. 2024. Nada. Oh, sad. Well, I'm glad I at least have my box set for now. I gotta see if I can find the rest of it. I swear we at least had the first 3 seasons. And I definitely just have to go and see if I can find the other ones. But yeah, I think that's where we'll call it for today. We went to a couple deep dives, got into some of the horror anthologies that I really enjoyed growing up. Goosebumps, Tales from the Crypt Keeper. We watched some of the old animations. We finished off the Adult Swim arc as well. So yeah, we're doing a nice little job getting through some of these reactions of some of our deep dives. So if you guys have any more recommendations for any shows that you think I might have missed, or any other horror shows that you watch coming up that you'd like us to take a little deepish dive in, we can take a peek, see if we can find anything. But aside from that, I think that's where we'll call it for today. Thanks everybody who stopped in for tonight, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.